Happy Friday! We made it to the end of the week. Barely. One more day, and then we get a nice little weekend. First weekend of summer. Today is the last full day of spring 2020, and what has been a spring unlike any other in my lifetime, and for most of my viewers. I'm assuming it is the 19th day of June 2020. I am Dan Kuntz. We have a lot to get to today. This is going to be a busy show, so it's going to be an adult portion. We're not going to check identification. Everybody's free to watch the show, but we got lots of things to get to, a lot of news to get to. We'll have the latest on the number 2 Canyon fire when we get to the news here in just a couple minutes. It's going to be a very warm day today. We had 85 yesterday. We'll be near 90 today. Cool down, clouding up on Saturday. Sunshine returns on Sunday, and then we start climbing that temperature ladder into the 90s. We will be for most of next week as high pressure will begin to build over the region just in time for summer. We're going to have summertime weather. We got sports to get to, the obscure holiday, today in history. Everyone is entitled to my Not His opinion. And we always do this 4 times a year with Bonnie Orr, the Dirt Diva. On the equinoxes and the solstices, we visit with Bonnie to talk about the gardening tips that you need to know as summertime is almost here. So our conversation with Bonnie Orr on location will come your way in the back half of the hour. Bonnie is one of my all-time favorite people, and you're going to learn a lot about what you need to do to get your garden and your yard through the heat of summertime 2020. We got a lot to get to. Let's start our tour around north central Washington. We do have a few high clouds out there, 63 degrees. That's a warm start to the day. Yesterday at this time it was at 57 degrees, so that 90-degree mark, which is in the forecast, is a distinct possibility. You can see the high clouds that are floating in. It'll be dry and filtered sunshine today, but warmer. Very mild overnight low tonight, and then, as I mentioned before, we're going to cloud up on Saturday. We clear out Saturday night, and then we start getting sunny and downright hot starting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Good morning to the Wenatchee Valley proper from our cross camera. Looking to the north. Camera 2 is Megan's Choice, and that is what's left of the number 2 Canyon fire. It is in mop-up stage right now. It's fully contained. It consumed about 120 acres. Again, we'll have more on that when we get to the news. So that's looking at where the fire crested on the ridge between number 1 and number 2 canyons. First wildfire of the year. Hopefully, knock on wood, our only one. Camera number 3, we say good morning to Jump Off Ridge as we look out over the Wenatchee Valley. Gorgeous view there. That takes a long time to get there, but it's a spectacular view once you get there. And I'm kind of jealous of some of the Sky-Fi crew because they get to go up there and they have to maintain, of course, the equipment. They have to make regular trips to some pretty remote areas, pretty hard to access areas, but the payoff once you get there is views like that. Yeah, the camera looks spectacular, but to see it with your naked eye is really phenomenal. The Stimmel Basin, of course, is at the bottom part of your screen. You can see the Wenatchee Heights area, and right over the top, the valley proper. And camera 4, we say hello to Lake Wenatchee. It's the Two Rivers camera. That is on a very, very high Sky-Fi tower. It's way up there. It's about 300 feet in the air. If you're familiar with the area, of course, you got the White River and the Little Wenatchee River flowing into the top of Lake Wenatchee. And then, of course, it empties out as the Wenatchee River at the bottom of Lake Wenatchee. So that is just a gorgeous view there. Good morning to our friends at Lake Wenatchee, which I understand might still have a few skeeters hanging around this time of year. The skeeters don't like it when it's real hot. They don't like it when it's windy. So maybe you'll catch a little break, Lake Wenatchee, from the world of mosquitoes coming up this weekend. I hope you do anyway. A couple of slides from the National Weather Service. First of all, your outlook for the weekend and beyond, as you see there. For Saturday and Sunday, it'll be still a little unsettled in the atmosphere. Could get some light rain here in the Wenatchee Valley on Saturday. Hopefully there are no thunderstorms heading our way. That would be bad. The thunderstorms, if there's going to be any at all, are going to be to the east of us in the Spokane area and in the Idaho Panhandle. And then, of course, starting on Monday, as I mentioned before, it's going to be dry and then warm and then borderline hot. By the time we get to the middle of the next week, we're talking mid-90s. For our highs before we start cooling down just a little bit on Thursday of next week. And as I mentioned, the summer solstice is tomorrow. It's at 2:43 in the afternoon, and that's when summertime begins. So we'll have about 16 hours of daylight, specifically for the Wenatchee Valley. 15 hours and 57 minutes of daylight again today. We've had that all week long. Sunrise at 5:04, sunset at 9:01. These are your temperature statistics for tomorrow, June 20th, as you can see for Wenatchee. Going to be a little cooler because we're going to have quite a bit of cloud cover. It's going to be a little bit above normal, But if you remember back in the summer of 1982, it was downright hot for the first day of summer. Summer solstice coming our way. It's summertime. Living is easy. Fish are jumping. Cotton is high. Mama's good looking. I can't sing anymore because then I'll have to pay George and Ira Gershwin. I don't want to do that. Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling gives your home a hug, and here we go. Here comes the van. Woo! Very safely been driven by Matt and the crew. So yeah, sunshine today, right around 90, maybe even 91. Again, it's going to be filtered sunshine, but we're already off to a warm start, so that certainly looks like that 91-degree mark is doable. Look how mild it's going to be for the overnight low tonight. 65 degrees, because tonight is when the clouds really start to roll in. There's a weak ridge that's going to come in and cloud us up a little bit. It's not much, but the high pressure ridge that's here right now is a flat one, so it's going to allow the high clouds who have already here to really thicken up tonight, which is why it's going to be so warm. We'll have the blanket over the valley. Lots of clouds on Saturday, considerably cooler, just the slightest chance of some light rain on Saturday for the first day of summer. High of 84, 58 for the overnight low on Saturday night. Now, during the night, Saturday night, it'll start out with cloudy skies, and then in the early evening hours, and then gradually the clouds will clear out. Also, I need to mention this, a little on the breezy side on Saturday and on Saturday night as the system exits. And then here we go. Sunshine Sunday, 85. Sunshine Monday, 90. Sunshine Tuesday, 95. Sunshine Wednesday, 94 degrees. So high pressure is going to build in over the north central Washington area. That means a warming trend, and before it cools down a little bit, as the high pressure ridge will begin to knock out of alignment and move out of the area starting on Thursday, but still plenty warm for everybody. If you like it sunny and warm and really hot for a lot of people, it's coming our way. A friendly reminder, it is June and it's almost summertime. 7 minutes after the hour, we're going to take a break and come back, and we have a lot of news to get to, including the latest on the number 2 Canyon fire. It's going to be a busy, busy newscast. In 1 minute, we'll give it to you. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
How do you know when it's time to go to Boswell's Furniture? When you know the look you love, the colors you want, but need a little design help to bring it all together. With Boswell's complimentary design service, Glenn, Buffy, and Teresa guide you until your vision becomes reality. More styles, more fabrics, and more choices of quality home furnishings fill Boswell's expansive 2-story showroom, so you can see it and feel it before you buy. Come into Boswell's and explore the endless possibilities of home furnishings. Boswell's on Easy Street. It's closer than you think.
We've missed short drives to see friends, long drives to see family. We've missed road trips, car camping, heck, we've even missed commuting. We're grateful to be getting back on the road. And like always, Les Schwab wants to help you drive safe. That's why our safety-related services, tires, brakes, and alignment are on sale. Save up to $210. Swing by, because we've missed you too. Or book online at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires. Doing the right thing matters.
Just about 9 minutes after the hour, high cloud 63 degrees, just about 90 degrees for our afternoon high. We'll cloud up tonight, be fairly cloudy, cooler on Saturday, but no real rain in the forecast. And then the warming trend returns on Sunday, Father's Day. Here's what's making headlines. The first significant wildfire of the season now contained after consuming about 120 acres of brush about a mile up number 2 Canyon in the foothills of Wenatchee. Crews responded shortly before 2:30 yesterday afternoon at the source of the fire. It's just above the Wenatchee Rifle Club, and that fire quickly burned up steep terrain towards the crest of the ridge that divides number 1 and number 2 canyons. Crews on the ground used hand tools while helicopters dropped water, and planes deployed fire retardant to keep the fire from spreading to nearby homes on the south side of number 1 Canyon. The fire was declared contained after about 4 hours. Nobody was injured. No homes or structures were reported damaged. The cause of the fire is under investigation this morning. Crews remain on the scene, by the way, this morning to monitor any renewed activity. Number 2 Canyon Road, by the way, is still open to residents only. No looky-loos, please. Orondo firefighters were able to limit a wildland fire in the Braze area to 3 acres Wednesday evening. The fire just before 10 o'clock was in heavy sage, grass, and orchard debris in a drainage canyon, according to the fire department. 8 trucks and 14 firefighters were able to keep it from spreading further. No injuries, no buildings burned in the fire. The fire department said orchard debris, including stumps and branches, made for a rather extended mop-up, so the fire did not reignite. The cause of that fire has not been determined. Last month, the State Attorney General's office accused a Douglas County Commissioner of misusing his position in a lawsuit over Washington's COVID-19 state of emergency. The Wenatchee Valley's Chief Health Officer has made the same claim, and it's having repercussions in the public health community. Commissioner Mark Straub is at the center of this controversy, and he told NCW Life he's done nothing wrong. Jefferson Robbins filed this report.
In a May 18th meeting of the Chelan-Douglas Board of Health, Mark Straub had a question for Health Officer Dr. Malcolm Butler. Would Butler sign off on an 8-point statement about the two counties' ability to handle the COVID-19 pandemic? The request came from the full board of Douglas County Commissioners, who'd put the initial draft together just that day.
We discussed the need for a factual statement from Dr. Butler. So as part of moving forward, whatever option we decided on, which at that point in time we had not made any decisions as to how that was going to be, what that was going to be.
The state had turned down a proposal from the Chelan-Douglas Health District to reopen the local economy, and Straub said he and his fellow commissioners were feeling the pressure.
We had been, during that time, meeting with, as you can imagine, a lot of citizens, business owners, general public, others sharing their concerns, viewpoints, and frustrations.
Butler, whose primary job as Chief Medical Officer for Columbia Valley Community Health, would not sign the commissioner's first draft, but after a 2-day exchange of email with Straub, he signed a new version, saying, among other things, that local hospitals had all the necessary resources to deal with the public health crisis. That was May 20th. On May 22nd, Straub and his fellow commissioners, Dan Sutton and Kyle Steinberg, filed a lawsuit challenging Governor Jay Inslee's authority to maintain the COVID-19 state of emergency. They sued not on behalf of Douglas County, but as private plaintiffs. An identical lawsuit went forward the same day in Chelan County, guided by the same attorney, Joel Ard, and this time with 4 Wenatchee City Council members among the plaintiffs. But on May 28th, Ard filed a copy of Malcolm Butler's 8-point statement in the Chelan County court case. The Washington Attorney General's office took notice, and in a hearing in Douglas County Court accused Straub of misusing his position as a Board of Health member.
It shows, probably most troublingly, a plaintiff in his private capacity in this lawsuit using his official position as a Douglas County Commissioner and as a board member of the Health District, generating evidence for use in this lawsuit.
Assistant Attorney General Zachary Pecalis-Jones took a sworn deposition from Butler on June 8th. The physician said he believed Straub had deceived him into drafting the statement. The document Straub asked him to sign, he said, appears to have been pre-constructed specifically to support his lawsuit. Asked to comment this week, Butler said he would not have time to submit to an interview with NCW Life. The 3 Douglas County commissioners withdrew their lawsuit on June 1st, and the rest of the plaintiffs joined the ongoing lawsuit in Chelan County. Straub sent a letter to the other 7 members of the Board of Health, denying that he had sought to deceive Butler. He told NCW Life that he, Sutton, Steinberg, and the other plaintiffs only decided to sue on May 21st, the day after he received Butler's written document. The fallout at the Health District became evident Monday, as Health Administrator Barry Kling told the board his work had been hampered by the board members' litigation against Inslee. Straub says, looking back, he's not sure he'd join a lawsuit again.
We are doing our level best as elected officials to get our citizens back to work, to get our businesses opened back up, to make sure that we're doing it in a way that's not going to cause a second wave, which will only be damaging.
Thank you for that report, Jefferson. More than a week after an estimated 1,300 people marched in Wenatchee seeking to end police brutality nationwide, the Wenatchee Valley's 2 mayors released statements on Wednesday about the social movement. East Wenatchee Mayor Jerry Lee Crawford says, and I'm quoting now, "It would be reckless of me as your mayor to think that the status quo is okay. I know there is room for improvement in our valley, and my words will mean nothing without action." There were no arrests, of course, during the event, but Wenatchee Mayor Frank Kuntz wrote, and I'm quoting now, "To those who attended with the intent to intimidate and create conflict, your presence did not reflect the values of the Wenatchee community," end quote. The June 6th demonstration was monitored by a few dozen bystanders who were visibly armed. Kuntz said Wednesday he would not expand on who he was referring to in his statement. He went on to say, and again I'm quoting, Instead of choosing to let this event deepen racial, political, and economic divides, I encourage our community to connect with each other in constructive collaboration, seeking better the quality of life for everyone. Well, the West Kashmir Bridge slowly being dismantled to make way for construction of the new bridge, plus the overpass over Highway 2 and a roundabout. It's the largest public works project in the history of Chelan County. Last week and this week, crews have been cutting through concrete decks to make panels that weigh thousands of pounds. Those panels are then lifted away as a containment system below the bridge catches any debris. When work is completed on the deck, crews will then start removing the concrete entrance to the north. The bridge trusses are expected to be removed in September using a massive crane. After a work trestle is built above that bridge, the existing bridge, of course, was built back in 1929. It was deemed unsafe a couple of years ago. The new $25.5 million bridge, overpass, and roundabout expected to be completed in the winter of 2021. A Wenatchee man who lost his right to own a firearm and then had that right restored by a judge 3 years ago is now accused of threatening another man with a handgun. 57-year-old Gary Dean Harlow was charged Wednesday with first-degree assault in Douglas County over a road rage incident in which he allegedly followed another driver to a gas station on June 11th and accused him of cutting Harlow off in traffic at the intersection of Highway 28 and Grant Road. East Wenatchee police said Harlow held a handgun in his holster and made numerous verbal threats to kill the victim. He lost his firearm rights over a 2014 reckless endangerment conviction, had them restored in 2017. Harlow was due to be arraigned on June 29th. Police say they're also asking Chelan County to revoke his concealed weapons permit. The Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has issued a statement criticizing King County for refusing to honor its immigration hold on the 34-year-old Jorge Alcantara Gonzalez. He's that murder suspect who was captured on Sunday after a 3-week manhunt in the Blue Pass area. Michael Melendez, an acting field officer for ICE in Seattle, said, quote, "This is yet another example of a resource that our law enforcement partners could have used to keep a dangerous criminal off the streets," unquote. Alcantara Gonzalez is suspected in the killing of 41-year-old Ian Eccles of Kent. In its statement, ICE documented the numerous times dating back to 2017 that Alcantara Gonzalez was arrested for various crimes, then released from jail in King County, despite ICE detainers. In addition, ICE said Alcantara Gonzalez, who's a Mexican citizen, was deported 3 times by Border Patrol agents between 2003 and 2013. By the way, he is currently in the Kittitas County Jail with yet another ICE detainer, should he be released at some point. One more item of business before we move on down the line. Last night on their Facebook page, Slidewaters in Lake Chelan made the following announcement, and I'm quoting, this is from their Facebook page. "We are opening. Starting this Saturday, we will be open daily from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Adhering to social distancing, we will be operating at 50% capacity. First come, first serve." Again, that's from the official Facebook page of Slidewaters. Now, of course, Chelan County moved to phase 1.5 last week, but a county must be in phase 3 before public swimming pools and public water parks can reopen. Of course, the Slidewaters is involved with a federal lawsuit attempting to remove L&I's ability to fine them if they defy Governor Jay Inslee's phased reopening plan. So we'll see what happens with that. 19 minutes after the hour. We'll have a newscast for you. As I might imagine, we're going to have a lot of news at 5, 6, and 10 with a preview. Here's Grant Olson.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, Jefferson Robbins takes over the anchor chair for the next several days as my family and I take some time off. Eric Granstrom will have a very nice North Central Washington weather forecast to talk about, and he'll also be here to talk about all things sports. That and all the day's news coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. Dan, back to you.
Thanks, Grant. Enjoy your time off. And if you have a news tip or want to drop us a line and say hi, by the way, we had a lot of people send us video of the fires yesterday. We appreciate it. Always good to hear from you. You can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com. You can go to our Facebook page, drop us a line via Facebook Messenger, or go to our website, ncwlife.com, and click on the Contact Us icon. It is pretty self-explanatory. Going to take a break and come back with sports with a little timeline of where we are with the possible or not so possible restart of Major League Baseball. We'll have that in 1 minute. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Hi, Manuel Navarro, Chief Operating Officer at Columbia Valley Community Health. Patient safety is our top priority, including providing care that just can't wait. With enhanced safety precautions, we want to ensure you that we're able to continue providing safe and efficient in-person care at our clinic. From in-car check-in, ongoing screening, immediate rooming, your family can get the safe care that they deserve here at Columbia Valley Community Health.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Back out of it 21 minutes after the hour in sports. If you've ever gone through a divorce, you know things can get a little acrimonious. The relationship becomes toxic. Talks between the two parties involved, well, can be a little on the dicey side. So here's the timeline. I'm going to get you up to date with where we're at on negotiations to start a pandemic-shortened Major League season. First of all, Tuesday night, Commissioner Rob Manfred and the Players Union's head, Tony Clark, they met for 4 hours. Manfred thought they had a deal. On Wednesday, Manfred proposes a 60-game season with full prorated salaries. Clark responds by saying they never had a deal and rejected the offer from Major League Baseball. Then yesterday, Thursday, Clark counters with a 70-game season and an extended playoffs for this and next year, saying, quote, "We believe this offer represents the basis for an agreement on a resumption of play." Later on yesterday, Manfred rejected the MLBPA plan, saying, quote, "This needs to be over. Until I speak with owners, I can't give you a firm deadline." So where are we with all this? It's likely that Major League Baseball will implement a 50-game schedule per the March 26th agreement, a move that will probably lead to the players filing a grievance. Can't these folks get along? Of course, today is Juneteenth, as you know. It's a day recognized as the announcement of the Civil War's end and the freeing of all slaves in America. Major League Baseball is celebrating with a conversation about being black in baseball in America. The panel discussion is hosted by former Mariner Harold Reynolds of the MLB Network. Players Sterling Sharp will be involved, Josh Bell, John Duplanter, as well as Sharon Robinson, who is the daughter of Jackie Robinson.
I'm curious, how have your white friends that you grew up with and white teammates reacted? John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I've received, like you said, like I got phone calls and texts in the moments after George Floyd's passing, and pretty much the protest started to escalate and the conversation started to happen. And like you said, I really didn't get those phone calls or texts in the past couple of years. But the fact that we're getting them now, it kind of brings me back to this hope, because a lot of my friends, it's like, hey, yo, listen, I knew about this stuff going on, but like I really didn't feel it or see it. Like it's starting to hurt me now. I mean, I've had white friends reach out and say like, dude, like I am hurting inside, not because of anything that might happen to me, but because like that could have been you.
Specifically, there's a teammate of mine here, Trevor Williams, reached out and he just asked me like what he could do. He was like, I've had no idea, and I feel ignorant not knowing more about this topic than I should. So what should I read? He's like, how can I educate myself on this system and how long this has been going on? And I feel like the education aspect is huge from this point on. Like I went to an all-white, private school for the most part. And like the history classes didn't really dive into like anything aside from like the civil rights movement. And like from that point on, it was like, wipe your hands clean of systemic racism. Like we're good now.
Don't beat around the bush. Like if you ask like, what do you think about the things going on around the world? Like I'd much rather you kind of just say what it is, especially with these statements of either teams or companies coming out and putting out their words. I guess you got to touch on like the keywords of black, police brutality, murder, I guess, white supremacy. Those are the key things that this is all forming from. And I think those are the words that make the conversation hard and uncomfortable for white people. And that's what I've kind of been encouraging them to. Just, if we're going to talk about it, I want to talk about it. Don't try to walk around it, be nice. We got to have an uncomfortable conversation to get anywhere.
Being black in baseball in America. You can watch it right now. Well, don't watch it right now. Keep watching this show. After the show's over, you can watch it anytime you want on MLB.com. And by the way, I highly recommend it. And that reminds me, the Mariners, of course, are releasing a video on their YouTube page today at 11 o'clock. Black Voices in Baseball is hosted by Seattle play-by-play guy Dave Sims and features candid conversations. And we meet candid conversations with Dee Gordon, J.P. Crawford, Kyle Lewis, and Shed Long Jr. And finally, Josh Gordon believes he'll be a Seattle Seahawk again. The wide receiver has been working out in Seattle, preparing for what he hopes to be his 9th season in the NFL. On Wednesday, Gordon submitted his letter for reinstatement to the NFL. This is according to the NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. Gordon was suspended back in December after 5 games with the Seahawks for violating the NFL's policies on performance-enhancing substances and substances of abuse. It was Gordon's 5th league-imposed suspension in 8 years. Gordon's lawyer, Adam Kenner, said, quote, Josh had a lapse because of his brother's death. That set him back, but since that time, he's realized how important it is for him to take the right steps, end quote. Gordon awaits a decision from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. And that's sports at 27 minutes after the hour on this 19th day of June. I had 5 obscure holidays to choose from. Today is National Flip-Flop Day as we transition to summer. Not much of a flip-flop guy. I got really high arches. I got to have that support. National Watch Day. I don't know if that means looking at something or looking at the time on your wrist. National Martini Day. Shaken, not stirred. National Garfield the Cat Day. I don't know why. I guess he made his debut on this date, but no. Today we're taking back lunch break. It's Take Back Lunch Break Day today. It's the 3rd Friday in June because, well, the trends are unmistakable. People are taking shorter and shorter lunch breaks, and that affects your morale and your overall well-being. The average, this is amazing, the average lunch break is less than 30 minutes for more than half of North American workers, and a quarter of all North American workers take no lunch break at all. They just skip it, or they eat lightly at their desk. We need to take back the lunch break. It's good for you. It improves you. Just get away from the computer. Here's a tip. If you want to make lunch at work, make something that you have to make, because that gets you out of the computer, gets you into the break room or the kitchen where you can microwave something or you have to make something. So take back lunch, folks. Take back your lunch break. I am guilty of not taking lunch breaks, so I am. Sometimes I just plain forget. You work on a project and all of a sudden you go, wow, I haven't eaten. 29 minutes after the hour, today in history on this 19th day of June. Happy birthday, baseball. It's close as we can come. 174 years ago, June 19th, 1846, the first officially recorded and recognized baseball games under the rules as set forth by Alexander Cartwright. Most of the rules are still in effect today. Took place in Hoboken, New Jersey, right across the Hudson River from Manhattan. The New York Baseball Club defeated the Knickerbockers 23-1. Alexander Cartwright himself was the umpire. If baseball has a birthday, it would be today. 174 years ago today in 1846. We talked about this a couple of times. It's Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865. That flag, by the way, is the Juneteenth flag. I didn't know they had one until yesterday. General Gordon Granger's army landed in Galveston, Texas, which had been cut off from the rest of the Confederacy during the Civil War, and said, oh, by the way, slaves, you're free. Have been for a couple of years. When the Civil War started, a lot of the folks in the South did not want to fight in the Civil War, and so they moved to Texas, and they took their slaves with them. In the beginning of the Civil War, there were only about 5,000 slaves in all of Texas. When Texas was cut off from the rest of the Confederacy, it was impossible to get any kind of information to Texas. By the time the Civil War ended in the summer of 1865, there were about 200,000 slaves in Texas, and General Gordon said, hey, you're free. Abe Lincoln freed you a couple of years ago, but I get to deliver the good news. Juneteenth happened 155 years ago today. The very first Father's Day ever was celebrated on this date, June 19th, 1910, 110 years ago in Spokane, Washington. Spokane gets the honor of Father's Day. Sonora Smart Dodd. It was her idea. Her father was a Civil War veteran, William Jackson Smart. He raised all 6 kids by himself after his wife passed away. And she said, we need a special day for Dad. They had a big party at the YMCA in Spokane, and Father's Day was born on this date back in 1910. And 71 years ago today, that's the only photo I could find of the very first ever NASCAR race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which, by the way, doesn't look anything like that today. And wouldn't you know it, the guy who crossed the finish line to win the first ever NASCAR race 71 years ago today, Glenn Dunaway, was the winner. Until they looked at the cars and they realized that Glenn Dunaway was cheating. He had altered his rear springs, and instead they gave the trophy to Jim Roper. So yes, the very first NASCAR race ever, there was cheating going on. Still is, I'm told. What's the old line? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? 32 minutes after the hour. Birthdays. Moe Howard, the de facto leader of the 3. That's Lou Gehrig, but there you go. Guess who else's birthday? There's Moe Howard, the de facto leader of the Three Stooges, the comedy team, starring in motion pictures and television for 4 decades. Moe Howard, born in the state in 1897, died at the age of 77 back in 1975. Whenever the Three Stooges are on TV, I always stop, and it's a guaranteed laugh. Moe Howard. You saw Lou Gehrig's birthday. He was born 117 years ago today. The great American, one of my favorite baseball players, if not my favorite baseball player of all time, of course, passed away of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis at the age of only 37 in 1941. There have been 590 uniform numbers retired in North American sports, and the very first uniform retired ever was Lou Gehrig's number 4 on July the 4th, 1939. He was the only Yankee ever to wear number 4, and this remarkable statistic about Lou Gehrig. In 1934, he won the Triple Crown in Major League Baseball. He led all of baseball in home runs, RBIs, and batting average. And in 1934, in the MVP voting, Lou Gehrig finished 5th. The guy who won the Triple Crown, finished 5th in the MVP voting back in 34. Greatest first baseman of all time. Happy birthday, Benjamin Hammond Haggerty. He's Macklemore to you and me. He's 36 years old today, Seattle native, not a bad rapper. And our good coworker, do we have a photo? Do we get one? Did we get one for Uriah? There he is. That's Uriah. Uriah sits next to me. He's a funny guy. Happy 40th birthday to my friend Uriah. 33 minutes after the hour, an opinion from Mike McNaughty, and then we catch up with Bonnie Orr, Summer Gardening, with the Dirt Diva coming up. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Collins Fashions is now open. Following safety guidelines, come and shop at Collins Fashions. There's nothing like a new pair of sandals or outfit to lift your spirits. Tommy Bahama says fun in a stylish way. Mother of the bride or groom, special celebrations. Collins has a beautiful variety of dresses for all occasions. Need a little something to make you smile? Brighton jewelry and handbags fit us all. Collins Fashions is now open. Let's go shopping 10 to 5 Monday through Saturday.
When you think of Doghouse Motorsports, you might think of motorcycles, but there's a lot more in this house. How about Honda power equipment? From snowblowers to lawnmowers to generators and even water pumps, Honda is the brand that sets the standards. Perhaps you need an ATV or UTV. The Doghouse has the largest selection anywhere. Did we mention watercraft and snowmobiles? And of course, we have motorcycles too. Back it up with terrific customer service and you have Wenatchee's best motorsports store 5 years running. Isn't it time for you to be in the Doghouse?
This is Mike, Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, recently at a vacation house we were renting, my grandson, he broke a lamp. Well, it was an expensive lamp. I had to pay $100 to replace the doggone thing. I figured, well, no big deal, stuff happens. But then I realized the huge difference in reaction I would have had if my son Tony had broken the lamp. Had Tony been the culprit, I would have been angry and upset. A much different emotional reaction than I had when it was my grandson. But it's not that I love my grandson more than I do my son. They're both great human beings. And maybe I'm just older, and sometimes that just explains the varying emotional reactions I have to my grandkids opposed to those I felt with my kids. But whatever it is, grandkids are just different than your kids. Yeah, they are. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
So Pam, how's your mom doing?
She's okay. She's struggling. She'd like to stay in her house, and it's getting harder for her to do the daily chores.
What kinds of problems is she having?
Just basic house cleaning, taking care of her house, yard work, taking care of her medicine.
Mm-hmm. It does sound exhausting.
It is very exhausting, and I always worry about her.
Aging and adult care can assist you or your loved one to remain comfortably and safely in their own home. Contact them today to start the conversation.
At Earthwise Pet, we take an all-natural approach to wellness and nutrition. Our professional certified groomers were trained by the best in the Pacific Northwest. Our staff here at Earthwise Pet are all certified in pet nutrition. We are here to help you select the perfect food, supplement, and anything else you may need to make sure your pet is living its best and most healthy life. Earthwise Pet, Nutrition Center and Wellness Spa. Online or in the store, we are here for you.
The response that I saw from Works reminded me about what a great company this has always been.
While some businesses have probably just tried to hunker down and survive, Blair and the team at Works have said this is an opportunity to become even better, to give more value to our members. I think it's amazing.
Blair's attitude is safety first.
I just really appreciated feeling like I wasn't forgotten about.
Well, it's summertime. The living is easy. The fish are jumping. The cotton is high. And if I say any more, we have to pay the estate of George and Ira Gershwin. I don't want to pay them any more money than I need to be. Dan Kuntz alongside my good friend, the Dirt Diva, Bonnie Orr, who visits us 4 times a year on the equinoxes and the solstices. The summer solstice, June 20th. At what time exactly? You know.
Oh, but I think it's 8:30.
8:30 in the evening or morning?
In the morning.
In the morning. So Saturday the 20th, the first day of summer, longest day of the year. And as we always do with Bonnie, those 4 critical times of the year, get your garden into shape, get your yard into shape. It's the time to do it. In fact, right now, before we go any further, and I actually did some homework, Bonnie, because of this COVID-19 pandemic and people are locked home and there's stay safe, stay home, stay healthy ordinances, gardening is taken off. I mean, people are into it now.
People's yards look wonderful this year. And we're in a yard here that has some terrific work to be done, but it will be very, very easy to get it back to where it's supposed to be. And we'll talk about what we're supposed to be doing at this time of year.
And a lot of the people who are going to be watching this video are going to say, I have that plant, or I have that plant, and I didn't know what to do with it. So it must make you feel, even though this is very difficult times for everybody, it must make you feel pretty good that people are tending to their yard and garden now more than ever before.
And too bad we aren't going to have the fairs for people to show off their flowers and their vegetables.
But you're right, yards and gardens have never looked better.
Yeah.
So where do you want to begin, young lady?
Well, you know what? We are here on the edge of this driveway, and a couple of things that just pop out. One, it's time to do some pruning of different things, and of course, if you want to dry lavender, this is the time to pick it while it's still full of flowers on it. And then here is horsetail, okay? And this is just absolutely insidious, especially on the Chelan County side of the river. And this is the time to use some type of an herbicide, a glyphosate.
You mean polyden's not going to get the job done?
No, because the roots go down about 2 feet.
Wow.
More so than trees.
Okay.
And so you want to paint it, and then what you want to do is come back in September, because it's going to come back, paint it again. Next spring, paint it again, and you should be able to wipe it out.
Because it pulls easily. I mean, it comes right out of the ground, but you're not really doing anything to the plant.
No, and the reason you do it in the fall is that the herbicide is then taken down into those storage roots.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so that's the first thing to take care of right now in the early summer.
Let's go ahead and head to the backyard.
Hey, look at this beautiful lawn. You know, one of the things that's very interesting about this very large lawn is you can see that there's much shadow and much full light, which means that this had better have a number of zones in it, because obviously it's not going to take the same amount of water. And I always worry about thatch. That's one of the things I want to look at. And the lawn has all of these little divots in it. So I dug, and
Oh, that's not nearly as wet as you think it would be.
no, and this tells me that they are watering, and there's a layer of thatch. This thing could be thatched, okay, because this is thatch. This has not been thatched for a while. But the thing that worries me is that all the water is being held up in those dead roots. Look how dry it is.
Yeah, that's bone dry.
This is probably 10 minutes twice a day, instead of doing the thing with the tuna cans, putting down a half an inch at a time, twice a week at this time of year. But this lawn will begin to suffer as soon as it warms up in July. So
is it too late to thatch at this point of the year, or
well, you know,
can you go it? You can still do
most people don't like it thatched at this time of year because it looks awful, but also it's harder if the heat starts. So I think that what you want to do is thatch in September.
So in the meantime, to this particular yard owner, it's a fairly healthy lawn. It needs thatching. What would you recommend?
I would change the water practice.
Okay.
And remember the old tuna cans? Okay, and so until we get into the 90s, we need 1 inch a week and in 2 applications. And people kind of shudder, go, oh, but it really works.
What time of the day?
Yes.
Anytime.
No wind.
No wind. No wind, and shortly after sunrise, correct?
Right, or you know, before 11 o'clock in the morning.
I got you.
Yeah.
Where to, young lady?
Okay, we're going to look at some of the wonderful growth in here. Let me pick up some tools. And now this is what I would call a mature garden.
Yeah, huh?
And what's happened is that some things have gone rogue. And it looks like there is a filbert or a hazelnut tree. And I think that was the original plan. But what's happened is we have snowberry that's come up, our favorite Virginia creeper. You know, this is Virginia creeper here. And the Virginia creeper is, you know, the Ivy League schools. They really don't have ivy on the buildings. They really have Virginia creeper. And then Oregon grape. Now, the Oregon grape and the Virginia creeper are spread by birds generally, you know, and in fact there's some, I'm going to suspect that maybe that mountain ash tree also was that way. And here is a rose. Oh my gosh, something has planted a walnut in there, and this rose has gone rogue also. These leaves, see how they're long and pointy? And these leaves are short and fat. These are no, that one there's the wrong leaf. Here it is, here. This is the original rose, and this is below the rootstock. So I would suggest that this one has to have all of the rogue stuff taken out.
So this is salvageable.
It's salvageable,
it just needs
but it needs some work.
Haircut.
And you can cut roses pretty much any time.
Yeah, as we all know, we've learned from Bonnie's previous episodes of Green Thumbs and Dirty Knees, these are hardy bushes.
Hardy bushes.
Takes a lot to kill a rose. We should point out that where we're at now, this part of the yard gets a lot of sun almost all day and quite a bit of water, which is why all of these plants have just taken off.
And there's mildew here, and that's because of quite a bit of water. But here's the thing about the mildew is that when it gets to be 90 degrees, it's gone. And mildew is only cosmetic. And so, you know, using a fungicide is really not necessary. There's a really lovely other type of honeysuckle here. Again, with the snowberry, which is a type of honeysuckle actually. So I think that, you know, sometimes you just get overwhelmed going, where do I start?
Well, there is a lot going on here.
And what you do is you take out all of the bad guys. And it looks better just taking out the bad guys, and then you can move on. And many times people are afraid to attack these old roses like this. These roses have been whacked, and you can prune it at any time. And I think I would go in and I would take out all the dead material and all of this type, it got me, that type of thing. Then I would go in and cut off anything that is thinner than a pencil.
Okay.
Okay.
This little guy looks like it's going to get crowded out real quick like.
That's hydrangea.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why there's a hydrangea between these roses. And there's also a walnut tree with it. So I think that what we have to do is just move that hydrangea to another open spot.
And there are quite a bit of open spots.
Yeah, there are. And anyway, these roses are not looking good right now, but they can be recaptured. This is Dainty Bess. This is one of my favorite little roses. It is really a beautiful rose. Oh my gosh, there's a cherry tree growing in the middle of it. So, everything will look better if we just get rid of the rogues.
And most of the rogues, there's a lot of birds on this property. Most of the rogues were planted via bird
or wind
deposits or wind, absolutely.
Okay, and so this is the time to deadhead, okay, after things have finished blooming. Forsythia, lilac, viburnum. This is the last week to do that because they're going to start setting their new blossoms for next year. And so when this is deadheaded, what you want to do is, this is a peony, is go all the way down on the whole stem. Okay, take the whole stem out. And that way the plant then grows larger leaves. And they should be fertilized after they have finished blooming like that, to set for next year. And here's another, I think it's another,
If this wasn't planted on purpose, it sure found a right spot, didn't it? Because there's nothing around
It looked like another type of honeysuckle. Look at these, look at this prize here. This is a yucca. And yuccas are not tidy plants. There's just no two ways about it, is there?
No.
And I mean, you can, pull out all the dead material. It's very difficult because they stick for a long time, and also they'll shred your hands. So you have to make sure you wear gloves.
The sharp edges.
Yeah, wear gloves. And these blooms are absolutely beautiful. They're large and white, and actually, in some cultures, they eat them. So just cleaning this up. You see, we've only walked a few feet, and we probably have an hour's worth of work so far. Again, we have the huge walnut trees, and something or somebody has planted a number of them. This is, again, a problem with a mature garden. These western red cedars, I think were planted as like a little hedge. And then they didn't keep cutting them back. And because the things have grown so tremendously, you can see the lilac didn't bloom this year because it doesn't get enough light. And here's a forsythia that did bloom, and this is the time to do forsythia too. You can take up to 1/3 of the old canes off, and each of those stems is called a cane because the flowers grow on the new growth. Here's a rose that's gone rogue again. It only is going to bloom once, and it has these floribunda type flowers, but it's down to rootstock. And have a taste.
That tastes terrible.
You know what it is?
Cotton for my mask. No, what is it? What would I be tasting if I didn't have my mask on?
Your favorite plant.
Oh, that's horseradish?
That's horseradish.
Oh, be darned.
Yeah.
Bring it on. I love horseradish.
I know you do.
And that as we transition to a small little vegetable garden here, Bonnie, that brings up a very interesting question. Is it too late to plant a vegetable garden? Something that you can grow vegetables and eat and enjoy?
No, because, I always say that at the end of July, you plant your fall garden.
Okay.
All of your root things, your beets and carrots and all sorts of wonderful things. I think you can still get tomatoes going, and I'll tell you why, because the nights have been so cold this spring, in the 50s. So the tomatoes are just sitting there, just going, Now, this vegetable garden, this soil is fabulous. It has obviously been a vegetable garden for years and years and years. But what has happened? An oak tree has grown. Okay, we're looking east again. And it is 9:30 in the morning, and there is no
direct sun.
No direct sun, and there's going to be some sun from the south. But then we have a ponderosa pine. We have this rose. We have the fir tree. So there is not going to be a lot of sun in this garden.
Direct sun is critically important.
6 to 8 hours directly on the ground. I would say this gets 5. There's a thing called a sun calc that you can put this little dial out into your garden, and then it hooks up to the computer, and it'll tell you, and so you don't have to guess about it. But this garden will not be a happy garden because it's not getting enough sun. And when you don't have happy plants, you have more of a chance of having all sorts of insect damage, and the things won't set and things like that. Here we have this really beautiful soil, and it looks like it's a fairly sandy soil, but there could be some clay in it. There probably is some, but it looks really nice. People buy a bag of fertilizer for $45, and they're going to put it on the ground. But it could be that their soil doesn't need fertilizer. Nitrogen would be the one thing that it would need in the garden, and so having a soil test done to find out what your level of nitrogen is means that your plants will grow more effectively. Because sometimes what happens, like with this tomato, people go, oh, you know what, I have a 5-foot tomato. And my only thought is, you're fertilizing too much, because you don't want a 5-foot tomato. You want a 3-foot tomato with lots and lots of fruit on it. You can send in soil tests. There's a Cascade Analytic here in town. You can go online, mail them a sample, and do that with other things. But also the same thing with a lawn. People buy expensive bags, and many times the lawn does not need it. So that makes a difference. Here, this is a really interesting thing. So this is fir trees, and then there are mulberries, mulberry bushes growing in it. And again, the mulberries are not happy, even though they're quite large, because they don't get enough sun, so they don't put out any fruit. I would cut the mulberries off totally. And with mulberries, you cut them and then you have to paint them with some type of a herbicide, because they will sprout again. They're very, very difficult to kill. Here is a laurel. A laurel, which is supposed to be a little hedge, which has...
It's not a little hedge anymore.
No, that's outlived its usefulness. And so taking that out, and then here's a Carrion Japonica, which is supposed to have bright yellow blossoms on it. And again, because it's growing in the wrong place, it's not doing anything. So just taking out the things that don't belong. See, here's more Oregon grape. I don't know whether that belongs or doesn't belong. Depends on how open you want this to be. Here's a magnolia that did bloom. See, there's yeah. And then Angelica on a nice little shady ground cover. It's happy. It's really, really happy. So anyway, so this yard says, okay, this time of year, we want to do deadheading of flowering shrubs. We want to make sure our water practice for the lawn is correct. And rather than being overwhelmed by what to do, if you take out the rogues, the things you didn't plant, you'll be much happier.
It's going to get hot. I know it's been a cooler and wetter than normal spring, but it's going to get hot, and people have a tendency to kind of overdo it a little bit. Oh, it's 95 degrees. I'm going out with my hose and I'm soaking everything down. Not necessarily a very good idea, is it?
Well, no, actually, believe it or not, it can lead to root rot. You know, this little thing here, just carry these masts. Anyway, leading to root rot, again, for your lawn, 2 inches a week when it's in the 90s. And you would have to, for trees, you want at least 8 inches of depth, maybe 12 inches in the water profile. So if we dig down here, let's just see what the water profile is.
We're going here?
Yeah, just dig and see how. Whoops.
I think I may have got a pipe there. I don't want to do that.
Wouldn't that be great? This is really, really wet.
Yeah, there's something there. Oh, it's just a rock. But yeah, that's very damp.
It's very, very damp.
Yeah. And again, almost no direct sunlight here. Very little at all. And whatever it gets is late in the afternoon, and then it's being in shadow.
So this one should have less water on it, because that's really too wet. I mean, I think you can almost wring water out of it. Yeah. You know, budding eyes are interesting because they can absolutely take over things, and they can look really raggedy. And so if you do not want this to look like that, to look raggedy, you just cut it off in the spring. Because the flowers come on the new growth, and you can just literally shear it down and then start a whole new plant, which will have flowers all around it in an attractive array rather than kind of out and about.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so lots of work to be done at this time of year. We're at the end of fertilizer. No more lawn fertilizer, no more plant fertilizer, because plants don't want to have to grow vigorously while it's hot.
Right, I understand completely.
So we'll just have to see.
It's good to see you, by the way. I miss you. Any other general rule of thumbs for those people who are, hey, all of a sudden I got all this time in my hands, and now I have a yard and a garden, and I've never done anything in the summertime to maintain it?
Start a compost pile.
Perfect idea.
I mean, you know, read up on how to do composting, because that's what makes all the difference in the world. And you know, mulching. I just cannot stress enough about mulching, because you do not have to water as much. Like this bed that we were just in is heavily mulched from the fir and from the needles. And so there's no evaporation there. And you'll have to weed. That's the wonderful thing. You don't have to weed.
All right, Bonnie, one last thing before we cut you loose.
Well, we have some fighting going on. who's going to win this? Is this little spruce going to make it, or is the vinca going to make it? Now, personally, I don't think that this looks bad. The vinca will bloom blue, and you have different textures and things. So this is an unusual use of these two plants, but it's effective. But in order to be able to say, no, I only want one or the other, this is a total tear out. But I mean, this is too much work. All the other things we've talked about today are easy jobs, you know? Just cutting out the stuff that, the rogue things that shouldn't be there will make the whole yard look more civilized.
Any other advice for either the seasoned veteran yard and garden person or the newcomer who have discovered the joys of a beautiful backyard?
You have to be out in your yard and enjoy it. You know, lots of people are only out on their lawns when they mow it. Yeah, but you know, walking around your yard every morning or every afternoon means that you are paying attention, and you will not have huge infestations of insects if you are watching what's going on. Or you won't have all of these rogue plants coming up if you watch what's going on. So a walk around every day, cup of coffee in the morning, glass of wine in the afternoon. Why not, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, so enjoy your garden every day.
Yeah, and it's so good to see Bonnie again, and I hate having to do every 4 times a year. We need to do this more often, Bonnie.
Yes.
There's no question about that. Bonnie Orr is the Dirt Diva. Happy summertime.
Yes, happy summer.
Everybody, and I guess I see you, well, I'll see you before September, whenever it was. So, happy gardening, everybody. Dan Kuntz, Bonnie Orr, you're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley.
Owner Andrew Vickery brings years of experience to help you transition your backyard into a place where memories are made, family time is looked forward to, and friends are always welcome. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa offers many different styles and sizes of artesian spas, both new and used, as well as residential and commercial pool and spa services, regular maintenance and repairs, and all the chemicals required to keep your pool and spa crystal clear. Stop on by Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa today.
The 2 hottest pickups in America are at Town Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. First, the Ram 1500 with back-to-back Truck of the Year awards from Motor Trend, and now the Car and Driver 10 Best list for 2020. They call it a luxury sedan with pickup capabilities. Ram is on a roll now with 3rd-generation EcoDiesel power. Next up, the Jeep Gladiator, also a 2020 10 Best model based on the new award-winning Jeep Wrangler. It has options and capabilities that no other truck can offer. 2 more reasons when it comes to buying a truck. There's no reason to leave town. Badger Mountain Brewing is proud to announce the grand opening of our new kitchen. Come try out our new menu featuring fabulous steaks, prime rib, gourmet burgers, and seafood grilled up by experienced meat master Chef Galen Goodman. To complement your mouth-watering meal, Badger Mountain Brewing features 14 in-house crafted beers, an alcohol-free root beer infused with 11 different herbs and spices, 3 different ciders, and a great wine selection. Don't miss out on the best meats and the best brews down at Badger Mountain Brewing, located at 1 Orondo Avenue across the tracks from the Pybus Market.
Water is essential to living. From clean drinking water for good health to clean water for your pool or spa. Central Washington Water, your water experts. With whole home water filtration systems for your home's best water. Products and supplies to keep your pool and spa water crystal clear. To a full parts department. Count on Central Washington Water for expert help. Shop screen to screen. Come in or call about a backyard consultation. Central Washington Water, your water care professionals.
And we are back. We are at 65 degrees with just a few high clouds. Let's take a look at that weekend forecast one more time. As we mentioned before, the summer solstice is coming our way at 2:43 tomorrow afternoon. And from that point forward, and for the next 90 some odd days, it will be summertime. Lots of sunshine today, warmest day of the year by far, right around 90 or 91, 65 for the overnight low tonight. Tonight is when the clouds are going to start rolling in, so that's why we're going to have the very mild overnight low tonight. A little breezy at times tonight. Saturday, unfortunately, for the first day of summer, cloudy and a high of 84 degrees, although no real rain in the forecast. Now, Saturday night, the clouds begin to exit the north central Washington area with a overnight low of 58. A couple of high clouds hanging around early Sunday morning, but as Sunday progresses, lots of sunshine for Father's Day and the first full day of summer, mid-80s, and then we start climbing that ladder into the 90s. Everybody have a great Father's Day weekend. We'll see you Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.